Good afternoon, everyone. I'm privileged to be here, which allows me to share this project that explores an action research approach to improve cash collection speed. In sharing my project, I'll give a brief introduction or context, then share the research problem and my objectives in carrying out this project, after which I'll outline the proposed framework that I thought may work and the methodology I adopted. As this project has been running for several months already, I'll be sharing the results in the first 5 months of implementation and summarize what transpired during this period. Finally, I'll share my conclusions and recommendations. So we all know how important cash is in running a business. For one, it is used to pay salaries, and another critical role is paying up suppliers. One key contributor to maintain healthy cash position is managing invoice collection or account receivables. If not managed effectively, cash constraint hampers growth opportunities and causes financial difficulties that can lead to delay in paying suppliers. In this study, a case in point is Company A British engineering services company that established a branch in the Philippines in 2001. The company uses a metric called Days Sales Outstanding or DSO, in which all business units, like the Philippines, must maintain a DSO of 95 days or less. In March this year, the DSO level was quite bad at 109 days. Incidentally, in March, a new country manager was installed, and one of his marching orders to local managers was to improve the cash collection speed or improve the DSO performance. I was tapped to lead the improvement effort, and since the improvement has to come from within the organization, I thought that the action research approach would be appropriate. So the research problem I intended to address was how could Company A improve the cash collection to help it achieve the company's cash collection target, or a DSO of 95 days or less, which will definitely help to maintain a healthy cash flow. In exploring this research problem, I identified the following objectives. First, to develop a framework that Company A can use to address its problem. Second, to implement an action research approach to improve cash collection, and subsequently reduce Company A's DSO from 109 days to 95 days or less. And finally, share the learnings once the improvement targets have been achieved. In developing the theoretical and conceptual framework, I based it on my personal reflections as to what is happening inside the company. I noticed that issues are being addressed individually or piecemeal, so you won't easily see how the tasks are related to the improvement of DSO. Another obvious issue is the lack of follow-through because there was no regular meetings or updates. Finally, there was no visible push from the top management that demands stakeholders to take the DSO action seriously. Hence, to promote change, these are the same issues that need to be addressed. First, a holistic approach must be adopted, and that can be addressed by promoting teamwork. Second, there must be someone that should help bind the team, a project leader who will instill focus and follow through. And finally, there must be a visible top management mandate to solve the problem. To illustrate this framework, a Lewis force field diagram was used as shown in Figure 1, which illustrates the driving forces on the left side to overcome the restraining forces on the right side, thus affecting change. In this study, I used a qualitative research design. More particularly, I adopted an action research methodology because my primary intent was to involve the organization members in bringing about change. This study leveraged on planned change approach, which involves a continuous interaction between constructing, planning, taking action, and evaluation in order to move change through a system. The framework is illustrated in Figure 2, whereby it is anticipated that 2 cycles are to be executed to be able to effect change. Throughout these cycles, the first, second, and third person inquiry approach were observed. The first person inquiry involved more of how I see and interpret the parameters and processes and how they affect the cash collection process. The second person approach dwelled more on my deliberate interactions and discussions with the project team members. And lastly, the third person inquiry is done via sharing the progress with the senior leadership team to get to get their guidance and support, and it also includes this opportunity to share the learnings and getting feedback from the academic audience. During implementation, the first action research cycle focused on team formation. During the construction stage, the management realized that finance function alone cannot solve the cash collection issue because it involves multiple stakeholders. All these stakeholders must understand the issue, the key variables and processes involved, and establish a common goal. In the planning stage, the management supported that a project team be formed and a project lead be appointed to guide the team. Incidentally, I was designated as a project lead, and thereafter I identified the key stakeholders that should be part of the team. Going into the action phase, I initiated one-on-ones with finance lead, and it gave me a good understanding of the current performance, how the DSO formula works, and the key variables. After which, I arranged a kickoff meeting inviting the key stakeholders. I highlighted to everyone the mandate and support of the new country manager. I presented the current DSO numbers and discussed the key variables and processes that drives the DSO performance. Similarly, I highlighted the ultimate goal of the team, which is to achieve a DSO performance of 95 days or less. During this meeting, the commitment from the key stakeholders was obtained. The team also agreed to have a monthly DSO update and a weekly action progress meeting. During the evaluation stage, the team was deemed to be successfully formed with the full support from the country manager, and all stakeholders now have a better understanding of the cash collection issue and the goal we need to achieve. The second action research cycle involves implementing the desired change process. During the constructing stage, the detailed DSO data is extracted, analyzed and shared to the team, including the revenue, accrued sales, and receivables. The data is further broken down into various aging categories such as current, 30 to 60, 60 to 90 days, and more than 90 days. Each bucket is then analyzed for its causes. Common causes include lack of approved timesheet, lack of supporting documents, and change orders. This step helps to create a holistic view of the problem and gives a clue of what actions need to be done. During the planning stage, each bucket is assigned to a certain function to be able to designate a specific action owner. At this juncture, the team also agreed to develop a central repository of our actions and updates so we can monitor our progress. On to the action stage, each action owner executes their assigned actions, and all updates are recorded in the central repository. If necessary, escalation to the next level manager is being done. Finally, during the evaluation stage, the project lead and the finance lead evaluate the weekly progress updates and analyze the monthly DSO data. The team progress and accomplishment are highlighted, and when necessary, some adjustment in the strategy is being adopted. On to the results. Since the project team implemented this action research methodology in March this year, there has been a steady improvement in cash collection speed, manifested by the decreasing DSO numbers as illustrated in Figure 3. From the high of 109 days in March, the DSO performed consistently below 95 days beginning April. As of August of this year, the best DSO number was achieved at 83 days. This actual case manifests that an action research approach can really solve real company problems like that of Company A. However, we have to recognize that the methodology will only work when anchored on a good framework, which should emanate from our own observations, our own reflections of our organizations and teams. In the case of Company A, it appears that having a team leader, developing teamwork, and top management support are really driving the cash collection improvement. While we see a continuous improvement in the cash collection performance in the last 5 months, it is recommended that the current approach is sustained in the next 7 more months to be able to establish that the developed framework is sustainable. So that ends my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.